and welcome back to the Mob Mentality Show. I'm Chris Lucian, and my co-host is Austin Chadwick. And today we have Gregor Riegler here to talk to us about the Mob RPG and its inception and everything like that. So, Gregor, maybe you can give us an introduction, and then maybe we can jump into that topic.
Yes. Hello. Thank you, Chris. I have been a programmer for about 15 years, and I have developed a strong passion, I would say, for software craft, technical excellence. And recently, I really love mob programming, also remote mob programming. And that's the very short version how this all started. But yeah, I guess we will talk about the long version next.
Nice. Yeah. And I think to jump into the first topic, this, we've had Willem on and we've done the Mob RPG we've talked about that in previous episodes. And then around, I was trying to remember when I first saw it on social media, I saw a screenshot of the app the web app you've been developing that like integrates the Mob RPG into this kind of game style thing.
Yes.
And so,
yes.
Yeah. So what is your Mob RPG game thing called, and how does it work? Yeah, what is it?
So the thing is, it's a web app actually. So there is the original mob programming RPG developed by Willem Larsen, and it just gives you a description of how to play it. It gives you role shades, what to do, and so on. And working at my company where I work with teams, so I coach them. We are doing a lot of mob programming. And so working with teams new to mob programming, often people are rather shy and quiet starting it because all of a sudden they are exposed to typing in front of an audience, or they are speaking in front of an audience. It's not that easy. It makes them feel vulnerable. So I needed a way to get them into doing it. And mob programming RPG worked really well. So we had learning hours where we practiced the mob programming using the mob programming RPG remotely. And it works really well because it gives the people sort of like this safe environment. It's just a game, right? There is no pressure to achieve anything. And you can really easily gather points, right? You just sit at the edge and listen at the edge of your seat, and you get a point for that. So people quickly get the feeling, oh, I can do this. I can actually do this. I can gather points, and it is fun. And they also they gain points for asking questions. So and playing this game, like the people quickly, so it quickly breaks the ice, and people learn how to be a good member to a team, to a mob, and how to contribute and engage in a mob programming. So we did this often in learning hours, and to us the challenge was how do we actually capture the points that people gained. And what we did, we made a wiki page with a big table and all the players and roles and points, and there we wrote everything down, all the points like people gathered, we wrote them down. And also the retrospectives after each round in the game, we wrote them down there. But creating this wiki page and writing it down this way, it was kind of tedious. And I thought, hey, there has to be a better way. And there were already apps for the mob programming RPG. There was like sort of a desktop app. And I think you probably know it. Maybe some of you even were working on it and also used it. But it wasn't working on my Linux environment, sort of. And it was also like an offline app. It wasn't a web app. And it wasn't maintained anymore. I tried a long time to get it running, but I couldn't manage to get it running because it has ancient dependencies and so on and so forth. So I said, hey, this cannot be so hard. I will just try and quickly develop a web app so I can capture the points and play this game online remotely with the people. And that's the way it started. And
very cool.
Yeah.
Is it so is it kind of synchronized among everybody that's looking at it at the same time? Is that the sort of thing that's going on, or is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So at first it was just a page where you could capture the points, but quickly, of course, the idea was, hey, let's have multiple people join it and have it a multiplayer game, and everybody can see the same state and actually change it and choose an avatar and make it fun. Like it's kind of a retro style. It looks nice and fun, and yeah.
And I think also using it with mob time for a timer, everything can be web based. You don't need to install anything on the machine. So theoretically, with
yes,
with Cyber Dojo and mob time and the mob programming RPG page, then you could have everything web based. You wouldn't have to, you could program out of a Chromebook if you wanted to. That's very cool.
Yeah. And it's online. It's online now, and you can just play it for free. So there is no charge or anything. It's all open source. Yeah.
Nice. And yeah, so I'm actually playing it right now. And it's fun because it's been a while since I've interacted with it, and I've noticed that it's grown quite a bit. So yeah, you all been working on it.
Yeah, we work on it every week together in a public mob where everybody can join. And right now we're tackling some technical debt. So we don't make progress in terms of feature or how the game looks like every week. There's a lot of things going on in the back. But we are making progress. Yeah. And yeah.
Have you seen anybody using it? Have you observed them playing the game just for your own, or do you have feedback maybe for the original rules of the game to accommodate, more?
I introduced it once at the at Bob Allen's Software Craft Saturdays and Sundays, where we played it in a group where it was fun, and it caught some attention. And since then I got some feedback and ideas how we could improve it. Ideas sort of like, people want their own kind of role sheets and ways to achieve points. So it should be configurable in a way. And another feedback is maybe the timer is not that important. Mob time is very good at a timer, so maybe the game doesn't need to handle that kind of a feature. And I get some feedback on the game, but it's I don't know how big it really is, how many people are playing it, and I'm not tracking that or any sorts of things. So yeah.
Nice. I gotta say, I love the style of it. It's definitely has that like classic RPG look, and it's
a retro style. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's great about it is it tracks the earning of the points, and you can add more roles, right? I felt like the previous, you mentioned the app version of it later. So I'm noticing that, so let's say, I made a fake role for myself, and I completed the driver and then the researcher, and I noticed that the available roles to pick next changes. Does it change like roles I can select based on my progress in the game, or is it static?
Exactly. So based on the progress in the game, once you completed a role and you have enough points, you can choose the next role of the next level. Maybe you will choose to be, for example, a rear admiral or whatever. So there are all the roles in there coming from the mob programming RPG originally developed by William Larson. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
And what I really like about this is how the mob that is now developing the game came to be, how it all came to be, and how this group is now working on it, and how it all started. So yeah.
Yeah, let's get into that. How did we get there, and what has it been like? Because you mob on the actual the program itself, right? And
so
do you use the software while you work on it?
Yes, that's one of the stories actually happened.
Good. Okay.
There was a friend of mine, Aidan. He asked me how the game is going, development of the game, and I said, and I just invited him to contribute, so we would work on it together in pair programming using Gitpod. And he also then brought a friend, Nitsan, and so we started working as a mob, as a small mob, and we actually developed the game while working on the game.
Yeah.
And then they had the idea, hey, we should make this mob public. I mean, there were other public mobs already going on. Mm-hmm. Why not make this mob public and invite other people, new people, into this community and keep developing it? And this is what we did. We made it public, and since then, a lot of people joined, very interesting people. We had rookies, we had very knowledgeable people, we had well-known people. Everybody was so wonderful. People were kind, patient, and engaging. And so when you join this public mob, you automatically become a contributor on GitHub. so that's one thing to keep in mind. Yeah, we even had William Larson himself once on the show. This is a very, very funny story. We were actually refactoring some of our code, and it was about naming. We had a concept that we wanted to name, and it was about it had a role and how many points you get for the role, and the name role was already taken and was already misused in another place and so on. And we thought, how do we call this? And one person had the idea we should just invite William Larson, because he probably has the best knowledge about the domain and has all the ideas, and we should ask him. And I actually did it. I wrote him on LinkedIn, hey, can you join real quickly? We have this problem with naming. And to a surprise, he just had time and really joined. And then we had like a whole session just grabbing all the ideas, writing all the ideas down, and having a big, I would say, brainstorming and documentation session, which was really fun.
Nice. Oh, that's great. Yeah. And and so what I really like about it so far is it seems to automate. Last time Chris and I played the mob programming RPG, we did it remotely, and it took quite a bit of setup, right, as you were kind of talking about before, and kind of a lot of moving parts, but it seems like you've automated all the main key pieces, because I was even thinking like, oh, well, how do I see what the role sheets are? But then you click help, and then it describes what you need to do to gain XP each role. And you can, it gives you the ability to edit names and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's definitely got all the basics there. And for anyone out there playing the mob programming RPG, this really simplifies your facilitation a lot.
Yeah.
Because it seems to automate it all in a very fun, playful way. And talking about that mobbing session, I'm glad you all opened it up because I was invited to join, and we had a great time working on it. And and it's written in React. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's written in React. Okay. It is actually the first project where I learned a lot of React about React myself. So there were situations where I liked it and situations where I did not so much. So, but it works well. I think in such a web app.
Nice. And what I remember from that session was I had no React experience going into it,
Yeah.
But just like with mobbing in general, you know, the mob was there to guide, and I was surprised by how much similarity it was with other web frameworks like Angular, and so it didn't seem, at least the chunk we were working on that day. And what I loved about it is the culture of your mob meetup, and we'll have to put a link in the
I
show
like
notes
that
to
too.
the details for that public mob. But someone was there and they had a tool they wanted to experiment with. So while we were mobbing, we were experimenting with their tool. And so it just really seemed to fulfill the spirit of mobbing, where people can run experiments and get you know, and find out how it works. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. Yeah. Any
I
other
really love that.
Yeah.
I really love the culture in that mob and how it came to be. So we like there is a core of people that keep coming all the time, and we have sort of developed a process, and we are continuously improving this process, and it works really well for us. We keep trying new things, and it's really like Woody says, like Woody has this quote where he says, it's not about creating great things, but it's about creating an environment where great things are inevitable. And I really see that in this mob, because the people are so awesome, and the way we do it, we have a really thought out process that we keep using and improving, and we just enjoy it. It's really just about having a fun time together, and everything else comes automatically, basically. Yeah.
Do you know of other open source projects that are mobbed on too? Have you seen anything similar to that?
Yeah. For example, there is the Python approvers mob. Facilitated by Llewellyn Falco. I know that. I have been a regular there too. Also, there are like Bob Allen's software craft Saturdays and Sundays, where you can join and experience and practice remote mob programming. It's about practice. You're not really contributing to an open source software. But still, yeah. And I really like the idea of doing like public mobbing,
open source
like
mobbing, and
meeting new
general,
people, connecting with new people, learning new ideas, different ways, and so on and so forth, connecting with people all over the world.
Yeah, exactly. And what's been great about I feel like there are public mobs like yours in now in several different time zones. So it's helpful when we come across someone who is really wanting to learn, they're really wanting to grow, and maybe their physical location didn't have someone they could go mob with. But it was great. I was able to refer them to your meetup, and it sounded like they joined.
Yeah.
Great time. And yeah, so it's definitely a great benefit to the community. Actually, someone just reached out today and was asking, hey, I really love this mob stuff, where can I go mob? And so so
feel free to join.
Yes. Fantastic. Well, this might not be great for those of you not listening on podcasts and not YouTube, but I thought it might be fun if I share screens and show it a little bit, because it will trigger some other questions I had, but we'll try to do a good job of verbally saying what we're seeing to help out with that. So let me share my screen. Share. Can you all see my screen? All right, cool.
Yep.
So while we were talking, I added myself, and then I think Chris, I think you added Test, and then I changed it to be Gregor. And then and so you can add the people, you choose the avatar, and then the way I was just adding points. So the way the game would go, right, is that after a round of mobbing, so we start the timer, and then after the timer expires, we'd say, oh, what did you earn points in? Navigator, mobber, and then you would add points. One thing I noticed was that that you're able to earn points in multiple roles. Was that a conscious decision, or did it just kind of happen that way?
it was no. This just happened that way. So
Oh, cool.
you just start with the basic roles: driver, navigator, and mobber, and there are things that you have to do to gain points, and wherever position you are, you have different activities that you need to do, and so you can gain points in any of these, basically. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, have you, when you're playing the game, have you ever had people say like, "Oh, I got a point in mobber and researcher," or something like that? Because that's something I haven't thought about before, the ability to gain in multiple roles.
Yes.
Usually people
Yes.
still think single-threaded. Oh, okay, cool. Nice.
Yes, you can have that. You can have points at multiple rows in just one round, and then you just earn some points there and there. And in that game currently, when you have completed one role, there is no value right now in gaining more points, and it is one of the problems in our game. And there are ideas how to improve the game even beyond what is written down in the original mob programming RPG. Yeah. So one idea would be that to have become a driver level 2 with different sorts of activities you need to make to gain points.
Yeah, a getaway driver, or
yeah, exactly. So there
or
are
an
lots
F1 racing
ideas to improve it, and we will be working on it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Nice, right on. Yeah, and that's kind of what you started to go there without being asked directly. But what are you all working on now? And then what are you thinking for next after that?
Just recently we have changed the styling a bit with the fonts, and now we're working on types. We're doing a bit of refactoring and improving the way we use types in our code. And I don't know exactly what we will be working on next. The mob will decide. We have our backlog and ideas, and we'll see.
Fantastic. Yeah. And yeah, so I noticed that when I was looking this up in GitHub, that you had a huge amount of repos that you've been involved in. It's very impressive. And
yeah.
And one thing that whenever I've done a code project like this, the ones I've usually done, I guess it is publicly available, but it was a great practice ground to try out ideas, right? So like clean architecture, domain-driven design, different test-driven development ideas. Have you ever seen that happen in your mob sessions while working on this game? Like someone has a practice or idea they want to try out in the code?
So we are doing test-driven development. We are practicing it, and yeah, people bring ideas. People bring ideas. Like for example, one idea somebody brought just today. We had a session just today earlier. Was we can try rotating the typer and the talker in different ways. We could have 2 timers, for example, like to have a typer rotate slower and the talker rotate faster. It would be one way. One idea that came up in terms of process.
Nice.
Yeah. When does the meeting usually happen? Just so that people listening can get an idea, maybe. So right now it's in the afternoon in Central European time. Okay. We usually start at 15 o'clock in the afternoon, and there is also a second window planned on 17 o'clock. So we are shifting based on time zone. There are some people who prefer to start earlier. Some people prefer to start later. So we have two windows right now. GMT +2, I think.
Yes, I think that's right now. So it's GMT,
no, it's okay because it's international.
yeah. Yeah, time zones are complicated.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So if anybody's wondering, that's in GMT plus 2. So if you
Yeah.
can calculate that off the top of your head, but that's good. Awesome.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay, cool. Right on. Yeah, and I think Chris already asked it. So you've I guess when's the last time you played the game using your game?
It was in the learning hour.
Cool.
Yeah. And yeah, it's fun. So it works and it's fun.
Do you have variations in tooling? How are you doing the remote mobbing? Is it the Git handoff style when you're in the meetup, or?
That's an interesting question. So we are doing it in a way. We use Gitpod
Okay.
for developing the code, and we use GatherTown to meet, and everybody shares their screen with a browser open. And in the browser, you have on the one side, on the one tab, you have the Gitpod. On the next tab, you have mob time. And everybody is responsible to select the proper screen of the typist. And we have rather quick rotations. We had for time we had 2-minute rotations. Then people said, oh, they want slower rotations, and we had 3 minutes for a longer time. And now we settled with 4 minutes. So currently we have 4-minute rotations. And there you see, this is the mob timer we use. This is the mob time of today. We make sure everything that happens is happening on screen, so that the typer also is the timer and manages the mob time. We call out our roles. So whenever you are typing, you call out, I am typing, or I am Gregor, I am typing, and then maybe Nitzan says, I am Nitzan, I am talking, and Joel says, I'm Joel, I'm next.
Cool. And how do you sometimes with these open source projects and co-authorship, how do you handle co-authorship?
Yes, so in GitHub, there is this nice feature, and I think it's also available in GitLab, where you can add co-authors in the Git commit message. So we use Arlo's Git commit notation, and in the description body of the Git commits, we add the co-authors, and you can see it right now on the screen. Those are the co-authors of today's session. And doing it this way, GitHub keeps track of all the people who have been contributors to the project. And there is a long
Awesome.
list of people now that have been contributing.
Yeah. And what about joining late and leaving early? Like, how do you handle that?
That's a very good question. And I have also a nice story about that. So when you join late, it doesn't really matter. Of course, it's nice if you join in the beginning, but sometimes people just join late. Sometimes people leave early, and that's totally fine. It's totally okay. Michael once demonstrated how to properly join late into a mob. He just came up. He was staying quietly. We remembered he was there. He added himself to our timer, and we just greeted him, and he greeted us, and that's it. And we continued working. And he was joining late to our mob, but doing so, we broke Brooks' law, basically. You probably know Brooks' law. It says like adding people late to a project makes it later. Well, Michael joined, and he helped us solve a problem much faster that we maybe would have otherwise solved slower, by giving inputs, giving ideas. I'm really amazed how in a mob you can solve quite complicated problems quite quickly. It like problems I would I would usually be able to solve, but I would probably need an hour or two and do research. And then in a mob, you have people with different with different kinds of knowledge and different ideas, and this guy brings up an idea, and another person brings up an idea, and all of a sudden it works in 10 minutes, and you just look at it and wow, okay, and we can go on to the next thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on. And yeah, another thing I'd highlight too is that you guys have a fun space in Gathertown. And
yes, this is where we meet.
Yeah, and so for those of you who can't see, I'm walking around in what's interesting is that the combination of Gathertown and the graphical style of your automation of the mob RPG is very similar. It's a kind of old school RPG style, 2D style. And so now I'm walking around in this virtual space, and I've used it before, but it was cool to see you all using it. And when I joined, it was like, I appeared in this room, and then I saw you and Nitsan come and greet me, and it was quite fun.
It's really fun to be able to walk around and talk to people in your vicinity. It has this sort of remote feeling of being at a real conference or meeting people. And then you go into the room, and then you can talk to all the people in the room. Actually, this is the Gathertown of the Vienna Software Crafts community. We use it also for remote coding dojos and code retreats. And the whole space, that it is designed by Christian Haas, which is one of the members of this community.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, this is like a welcome area. Very good. Nice.
Yeah.
And what's the key to dance? That's like a key thing. I've forgotten.
Try chi maybe.
Oh, that makes me invisible when I'm a ghost. So I can walk through people.
There's another one though. So real quick,
I don't remember now. Sorry.
I think you mentioned the use of small talk. How are you using small talk in all of this?
So starting as a session, sometimes we do bonding. We just do small talk, like how are the people, where are they now, okay. and
not
so
the
on
technology,
and so forth.
More about just talking about getting to know each other, right? Yeah.
We don't use Smalltalk, the programming language.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
So now we go ahead. Yeah.
We one time we did an interesting bonding exercise where we had to tell a story where the first person starts a sentence, something like, once upon a time there was a beer, and then the next person has to go on with the story, and then the next person has to go on with the story, and together we would tell a full story just to practice mobbing together, which is an interesting way to bond. And there have been other ideas how to bond and how to warm up for such a session.
Yeah. Okay. So you put in like extra effort to make somebody feel comfortable if they're new to the group or something. Like,
yes.
How do you make people? Are there other ways that you make people feel safe, or is that just kind of the practice that you use right now?
So we are very patient with everybody. So we are kind, and we try very hard to make it very comfortable for everybody to join, even people who don't have a lot of experience and are very new to programming, or maybe haven't ever tried TypeScript or React. Yeah. And we explain stuff to the people, and they can use their window to just ask questions, and we would explain things. So we will really slow down for fresh people.
Right. And so how do you do any retrospectives or anything like that during the time?
Yes, we do. We have retrospectives every session. So we sort of finish early, when we have a group like four or five people, we really want to finish half an hour early, and usually the retro goes on after the end. So retro can get quite long because there are a lot of ideas coming up and a lot of things we write down. We have notes and session notes for all of our sessions, and we write down all the retro notes, and we still have them. There is a long list. I have stopped counting how many sessions we have done by now. It must be over 20. So you can click on session notes, and there you will see.
Okay. Are there any other tools or anything like that that you use for doing mob design or drawing or anything like that, collaborating with each other?
Yes. So there was one interesting session where we wanted to document what things in the game to call which way. So to give different concepts different names, and to have that documented. And we would make a screenshot and draw on the game what each item is called. And we thought, how can we do this in a remote mob programming environment? And somebody had the idea, let's use, I think, TL Draw. It's a remote drawing app, and brought that up. Everybody joined the same drawing, and we just kept rotating like we usually do. And somebody drew, and somebody else told them what to draw and where, and then we kept rotating, which was really fun.
Yeah, fantastic. And yeah, you've been archiving your ideas and documents in the Markdown files. What about onboarding?
A lot of Markdown.
So I some people kind of, read the code, or, so like if somebody's new, what do you do to onboard them? Do you just have them read through things? Do you refactor? Do you just have them join the mob?
Yeah. So for example, one time a friend joined, and he had problem understanding a big test case. The test case wasn't sort of integrated. It wasn't written so well. So we just decided, okay, let's do a read by refactoring together. Let's read over the code. Let's refactor the code. And it actually triggered a lot of good things, not just for the person joining, but for everybody. It improved the whole test. It improved the naming. It improved understanding. It was a really nice session.
Nice.
Yeah.
I guess my last question here maybe is like, how about, upcoming goals or intent? Is it just kind of off the cuff and you say, this seems like the next most important thing to do, or do you set, longer term goals? How does that work?
Right now, my main goal is to keep this being fun to the people joining. So I want the people really to enjoy it and to have this regular space. So we just keep going. And in the back of my head, I have of course some wishes I would like to implement, but I am not pushing for that. We will see, and the mob will decide. I will not decide. The mob will decide what we are going to do and when we are going to do it.
All right.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Awesome. Yeah. And, yeah, when you're talking about the warm-ups earlier, that brought to mind something that was another book that Chris recommended for me was $1 Trillion Coach, and that was something that I can't remember his name right now, but he would do that in every meeting. He could always start with small talk and getting to know people, and it was unusual in some business environments but that really helps to establish and build trust. And so I thought it really helps. Yeah, I thought that was great. And then you guys have a whole list of a warm-up exercise that you started. Oh, this is the one you were talking about right there. Fantastic. Yeah. Storyteller. Yeah. Excellent. And the other thing I was going to highlight, since I did join you guys once, was let me go back here. I had never used Gitpod before. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
for those who weren't familiar, and I wasn't either, it was when you join the Gitpod space, it's almost like a shared desktop, but it's not, right? But like
Yes.
everything's set up and ready to run, and it's almost like you're accessing, was it Visual Studio Code via the web
Yes.
browser? Okay.
So basically, it is
Mhm.
a Visual Studio Code running in your browser, and you can collaborate on the same code base. You cannot change the same file at the same time. So different people cannot change the same file at the same time properly. But we don't care. We don't need that. There's just one person changing the file. That's all we need. So it works perfectly for our use. And one other thing that is nice is that the terminal is shared among the team members. So when we run our tests in the terminal, everybody sees the test outcome on their screen too. So it's really like everybody has the same coding environment working on this project. There is maybe one thing that is that could be better is making sure that everybody has the same files open and is located at the same line number in the
Yeah, that's
code. That
the
is something
trouble
you
I've
have to do
had.
manually. But other than that, it really works flawlessly for us, I would say.
I think if you verbalize like this, the driver needs to verbalize, or the navigator needs to verbalize which file to be on to make
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And that's so Cloud9 is a very similar service. So you can host these similar terminals with VS Code in them or not VS Code, I guess it's Amazon's own thing, but very, very similar setup. And that was the same problem when I tried using Cloud9 I think I used Gitpod once before, but yeah, it was always like, oh, where are we right now? And people were on different files. But also it's nice to be able to look at other files at the same time too when you're debugging something across multiple.
It's very useful.
Right? Yeah. So I like it. That's great.
Yeah. And also sorry, Austin.
No, please go
so
ahead.
Also you're sharing the workspace. So when you run the game, everybody can join the same server basically. So it's
great.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the different iterations of the collaboration tools, because there's like the Git handover tool where you have your own development environment completely, right? And then there's like AnyDesk or TeamViewer where you are sharing 100% the same environment. And so if you open up Notepad, everyone sees the Notepad. If you open up email, everyone sees email on the shared workspace. And then there's this Gitpod, which it's almost like a blend of the two in some interesting ways. And so it's fun to see the different tools and try them out. And it was definitely an enlightening experience for me when I joined you all, and it's fun to see the resulting output and the web app and everything else. And so well, before we close out the show, because we're coming up on time, is there anything you'd like to share or plug?
I just want to thank all the people joining this mob and being contributors and making this an awesome time and fun. And if there are some other people who have the courage and would like to join us too, feel free. It's a fun environment. Bring your ideas.
Fantastic.
That's all.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
What you're all doing is just a fantastic contribution to the community, and just love seeing it. And so if anyone in our audience is interested or knows people who might be interested in joining a public mob session, or in trying out the kind of automated version of the mob programming RPG that's been developed here and talked about here, please share this episode with them, and please help the community keep growing. And we just love learning from you all, so we appreciate your feedback on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and more. But until next time, have a good one, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.